and today I'm going to be entering a couple more art contests. This is going to be a full-length video this time. A lot of my art contest drawings have been in shorts recently, so I felt like I would just talk about them a little more in a full-length video and do a couple of them all at once and just see how that turns out. So the first one is Strawberry 350 DTIYS contest entry for Strawberry Wind. I will leave her link in the iCard for you to check her out. Anyway, this is going to be a draw this in your style, as I stated previously. So I am drawing her OC Scoop, which is based on an ice cream cone. And I actually thought her design was actually really cool. Like just the hair and her skirt and even the sweater was actually really nice. So I just really liked this character and I really wanted to draw her. So first I'm just starting with the skin. And the skin was actually really easy. I felt like I've really gotten skin down recently, if you know what I mean. Like, I feel like I've really improved on that, like, recently. So that was just really nice that I felt like I got a lot of improvement on that. And then I started with her eyes. Her eyes are this, like, chocolatey brown color, at least from what I could tell in the video. So I just did that, and then I added some white gel pen because the highlights I had were kind of disappearing. And then I moved on to the earrings and the necklace. I tried to do a very, very light pink, but the pink was a little too light, like to the point where you couldn't even see it on camera. So I just changed it to a more vibrant pink. And then after that, I moved on to the hair. And the hair, I had to be careful to not make it the same color pink as the earrings because I didn't want the earring to just like disappear, you know? So I just chose a slightly darker but still pretty vibrant pink. And then I chose a darker pink for shading, and I made the shading pretty simplistic. I didn't go like too much into like highlights or anything. Just like two colors to show the hair strands and things like that, before I moved on to the sweater and the rest of the outfit. So the sweater was actually like a white with sprinkles on it, like probably for vanilla ice cream with sprinkles. But you can't just like quote unquote draw white, you know? So I had to do some shading. So I tried to use warm grays, but for the warm grays I didn't have like too light grays but still very differentiating. I felt like I had to go from a very light gray to a way darker gray. So I did that, and I felt like that was pretty okay. But, you know, it just didn't seem to blend as well as I wanted it to. So then after the grays, I moved on to doing the sprinkles, which I used my Posca pens for. And this I just used the green, light blue, and pink Posca pens that I had. And I think this sweater actually looks really, really good, looking back at it. At the time, I felt like I didn't do any sprinkles going in multiple different directions, because from the video, it seemed like her OC had a lot of sprinkles on the sweater going in multiple different directions, and I felt like I did them all horizontally. But it still looks good looking back at it. So now I'm moving on to the skirt. The skirt, I chose this caramel color to start with, and then I moved on to a darker brown to do the crisscross pattern on the skirt. Kind of meant to replicate like a little ice cream cone, you know? So then, as I started doing the lines, they started looking kind of okay at first, but then they started looking a little wonky as I went on. So after doing the lines on the skirt, I then started to move on to the shoes. And the shoes are meant to be this light blue kind of color, but at first I accidentally chose too dark of a blue. So that wasn't too big of an issue though, as I just chose a lighter blue to blend it out. And then after that, I then had to do the front of the shoe. Or I guess it would be the underside of the shoe. Anyway, with that, I just did blue-gray and just used a white gel pen to just kind of make sure everything blended out a little more smoothly. So now that we're done with Strawberry 350 DTIYS, now we are moving on to Honey Scribbles 50. Now, Honey Scribbles 50 was a contest started by Scribbles and Stuff. I will leave her link in the iCard for you to check her out. Anyway, her contest was for the people entering the contest to draw something based off of honey. So I just thought that I would draw a character that was based off of honey, holding a jar of honey and kind of looking at it. So I mainly chose a lot of yellows and browns to make it like honey. And I also tried to make her hair look a little bit like honey in a sense. So I tried to shade her hair, but then the yellow I used to shade looked a little too similar. So then I had to use an orangey brown to kind of make it look a little more like shading, and that was actually a little more noticeable on camera. So after doing her hair, I then moved on to the honey jar and tried to shade that. But then I realized that the one I was using for highlights was a little too dark. But oh well. I then tried to use the same color that I used for the twine on the honey jar for the little accessories and bands and stuff on her dress and the collar as well. And then I just did this shading for the ribbons and frills on her dress before moving on to shade the rest of the honey jar. And then once I was done shading the honey jar, I then moved on to the rest of her dress. And this was actually the main part of her dress, so this is actually the entirety of her dress. So I tried to make this look good. So I tried to shade it with a really dark brown, and then realized that it was a little too dark, so I tried to use it like an intermediary color to try to make the shading look a little more clean, if that makes sense. So then I tried to do the same for the bottom part of her dress, and when I thought that looked good, I then did the rest of her dress. And I don't know what this part of the dress is called, so forgive me if I just keep saying, this part of the dress. But this part of the dress was meant to be like a little honeycomb pattern, so I tried to trace over that with a more orangey yellow color to try to make it look a little more like honeycomb. And once I thought that was in a pretty good place, I then did her shoes. And her shoes I tried to make a little more like honey was dripping down the sides in a good way, you know. And then I just made it a little bit of a darker brown color. And with that, both of the pieces are done. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. That would be greatly appreciated. And let me know, do you like watching the contest entries as a full-length video with me talking about them, or just as little short videos? Let me know in the comment section down below. And with that, I hope you all have a magnificent day, and I will see you all later.